phone live. Alrighty, let me try and show it. I'm working on the dress now for the doll. It doesn't look like much right now. It still has a while to go. Let me see if I can get it to fit. So in the back, we have a little buttonhole. I'm going to need to find a really tiny button to sew in on this side to get it to work. But here's the finished little, you can see the little detail on her eyes, little eyelashes. So we'll see how this works. I'm a little worried because she's got a thick butt, but we'll see. Okay. But I still have, how many rows? Still 5 rows left to go on the bottom of the skirt. Then I have the ruffle in the under part of the skirt. Okay. All right, doesn't look that bad. Okay. So here she is, known for yellow dress glory. She's looking like she's coming along pretty good. Just gotta take that off. Now, the problem with filling, if you're not familiar with amigurumi or crochet in general, the problem with filling this in is when you fill in the head, when you tighten it up at the top, you actually have to kind of shape the head as you go. So if I were to squeeze this, it would get all out of shape and it would take me a while to make it look natural, or as natural as a doll head can be. So, but for the most part, she's looking pretty good. I gotta push her hip in. She'll need a little bit of pinching and stuff, but she'll end up looking good when she's done. And again, if you're familiar with amigurumi, you know where to get these safety eyes. But I just got a whole pack of them, Amazon, different types, different sizes, so I could decide if I wanted large eyes or if I wanted like teeny weeny ones. I went with kind of middle because there's actually larger eyes in those, but then it looks like almost like an alien, and I didn't know if I'd like that effect or not. So I'm gonna try and keep my hands in frame. I'm just gonna scooch that down. Oh, there's a robot. Okay. And here's the yarn I'm using, which is, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. They're normally at like 40% off, so at least every other week it's 40% off. So if I'm gonna crochet, I might much rather use that, especially if it's like a personal hobby item that I'm making, or a blanket that I'm going to be giving away to someone, because I want them to have good quality material, but I want to be affordable while I'm doing it. So I just wait till they have their 40% off days, because I'm cheap like that. So let's see. Not quite sure where I left off on that last one. Kind of embarrassed that I was live streaming and my husband was coming in, but he went and he watched the first one and he said it was cute. So there's someone else who I made a blanket for. It was a Superman blanket. You know who you are, Lou. But that one was fun because I think that was probably the first time ever I videotaped myself crocheting, and I went as fast as I possibly could. I was doing corner to corner crocheting, which, for those of you who are familiar, it's basic. Well, you already know what it is. So for those of you who are not familiar, corner to corner crocheting is where you basically do pixels, little 3 double crochets. Double crochet is a type of stitch. So 3 double crochets real quickly, and then you will basically keep moving up blocks, almost like Tetris or walking upstairs with your yarn, and then you'll turn around and you'll go back the other way, continuing to walk up the stairs. Well, I filmed the fastest I've ever gone making one of those pixels, and it was about 15 seconds. Now that overall blanket had, I think, over 90,000 pixels. I think it was 90,000. It was a lot, but it was 90,000. No, might have been 9,000 because there's one I'm working on right now for my brother, my youngest brother, and that one is like 16,000. I have the pattern. I could check. In fact, I will, because I kind of want to know now. And there's actually a great website if you do crochet or you want to get into crocheting and you like the idea of like making 8-bit patterns. You can use Excel or you can use a website called Stitch Fiddle. And Stitch Fiddle isn't too expensive. And it allows you can either import an image or you can create your own, or you can do both. Like you can import an image and then edit it a little bit. So yeah, I'm not very good at this, so I don't know how I can share my screen, but let me just take a look real quick. I'm going to edit the chart. Let's see if it'll tell me what colors I have. Written instructions. See if we can change what color blocks. Okay, here we go. Stitches. Directions. More. I cannot remember. Oh, change description maybe. Because there's, okay, here we go. So they have all of the different colors that I use, and they have the count of the colors. So I just have to add them up. For black, I'm using 4,140. I'm using 6,128 white. I'm using 348 blocks of orange. I'm using 2,152 blocks of yellow, using 208 blocks of blue, 128 blocks of pink. That's going to be, so the blue is the like collar tag, and then the pink, because it's a cat, the pink is the actual collar. That's why they're so small. And then for cream, which is the main color of the body of the cat, that one is 7,760 blocks. So overall, that blanket has 20,864 pixels. And I actually did that one by hand on Excel, and then Excel wasn't bringing it in right. So I had to manually do it here, which is, for the most part, it's easy. It lets you just sort of click and then drag. So rows were pretty easy. It didn't take too long. And because I'm curious now, I'm going to go see what the pixel count was on the Superman blanket. Let's see. It was a majority black blanket, so, which made it really easy. It was 3 colors. It was black, red, and yellow. Yeah, black, red, and yellow. So I'm just going to go to written instructions. Okay. Oh, yeah. A lot. So there were 9,930 black blocks. There were 2,107 red blocks. And then there were 833 yellow blocks. So that one was only 12,870. And I believe that was a twin-size blanket, like a twin XL. The one that I'm making for my brother is a full size. So he can use it like on his couch. But on to the dress again. I gotta get this done. I have, this is row, okay, I'm on row 4, and I have to do a total of, I think, 6 rows of these. And for those of you who crochet, I'm doing half double crochets in each stitch. And then I'm slip stitching at the end of the round to join it. So it makes this join. I think I'm increasing, so I'll have to make sure to count this next row. For those of you who don't crochet, I'm doing a stitch. I'm doing one of the many beautiful and varied stitches that crochet has to offer. I tell you, I can't knit. I've tried it. I only have one hand that works for me, my right hand. Like knitting. So my grandma taught me how to knit. She could never figure out how to crochet. She said it was too complicated. And I can't relearn how to do knitting apart from like the basic cast on, make a scarf, cast off thing. But when I was young, I was I think 6 years old when she first taught me how to cast on. And I made a headband. And I was so proud of it. And so then she had me work on making a hat. So then I learned how to make a hat. you know, just like a beanie type thing. And then she showed me how to make it on one of her sewing machines, one of her manual sewing machines, or not sewing machines, sorry, knitting machines. And you've probably never seen a knitting machine unless you watch a lot of like how it's made, like I do on YouTube. But so manual knitting machine, you have something called a carriage. And the carriage, you basically, so you have this thing, this long rectangular thing like a keyboard almost, but it's not. And they have these needles that come out. And when the carriage has a handle on top of it and it's attached, it'll slide backwards and forwards. So you'll put it on and you'll slide it across. And when you slide the carriage across, it pushes out the needles that have these little hook latch things at the end. And then the carriage itself also feeds in the yarn. So when you bring it through, the carriage feeds the yarn in between these needles. These needles pop out. The stitch that's on them slides to the back past the little flat, I don't know how to do my hands, like this. So when you bring the carriage forward and the needle goes out, the flap goes all the way back. All the stitches go push all the way down. The carriage comes by and it grabs on, it feeds in the yarn, it grabs it on, and it pulls it back. So now all of those previous stitches are sitting on that one that's currently hooked. So when you go back and forth, if you go once, you've made a row. Go back again, that's the second row, and so on and so forth until you get to the row count that you need to make the hat. And so it was around 120. So my grandma would get it all set up, and she's like, here's how you do the cast on, and you need to do this 120 times to make this length of a hat, and you need to do it this many times to make this length of a hat. So it was a really cool knitting machine. She actually gave me one of them that she had, and I had that one for a while, but there was a piece that broke, and they were old. These were old, like manufactured in the 1970s, so we couldn't just get the part for it, right? You could still get a knitting machine, but personal knitting machines aren't really around much, I suppose. You get the little ones that are like the sock knitting machines, the ones that are circular you see on like Amazon, where you turn a crank and it feeds it in for you. But so I stopped using it, and then they took it back, and my grandpa fixed it up and he sold it, which I was fine with because I hadn't used it in a while, and I was working a lot at the time. But my grandma also had something that was really cool. She had automatic knitting machines, and they must have cost her a pretty penny, I gotta say. I'm sure that they did. All right, so now I gotta figure out how I want to do this. Okay. Anyway, so what she would do is she'd program in what special stitch she wanted, and it would make these beautiful designs. Like she could be, I want a sweater, and it would do the main part of the body for it with like really intricate designs. And then she'd set it like, I want the arm, and I want the arm this length, and it would go do all of it for her, the ribbing. All she'd need to do at the end of it, she would turn it on its side, get the side stitches. So like, I don't think this shirt kind of has it. So the seam, right? The seam, she'd get it on the hooks. She'd run it past once or twice to kind of seal up the seam, and then she'd just, close it off, loop it off, however you knitters call it. But yeah, she had a lot of those. And when she passed, I think I was the only one of the grandkids or even her daughters that would knit. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think that was it. But I got her prized possession. She had many offers in the past from people to buy this particular knitting machine from her, but she never let it go. And it was a Brother knitting machine. So if you're familiar with just sewing, you know that Brother's a name, and that same with printing, printers, scanners. But she had a portable Brother knitting machine, and it's really cool. I still have it. It's out in the shed because I just haven't. I have too many hobbies now, and knitting is just not top of my priority. But I knew how to hand knit, and I knew how to machine knit. But I never, like manually knitting with my hands, I never got past the basic single stitch. I cannot purl for the life of me. My hand only goes one direction. I gotta flip the work. So crocheting was really awesome because it added a lot of dynamic to yarn for me, because I'm only using one hook. And the best part, I think, about it, and I'm sure that people who knit have a disagreement with me on it, I'm sure, but if my kid gets a hold of this, and it's by accident, if they get their foot caught in it or whatever, when they were younger, when they just grab it and pull, if they grab this, I've only lost 3-4 stitches, not a big deal. But with knitting, if you don't have everything like properly secured and something like that happens, you can drop a whole run down the project that you're working on, and it can ruin work. I mean, I've had that happen to me before, which is one of the reasons why I just stopped doing knitting, because it was frustrating. I drop a stitch and boom, all the way down to the beginning. And you can latch it back up, I think, but then it looks funky. It doesn't look, the tension isn't right. So with crocheting, I think it's a lot more flexible. And I don't know, it seems faster to me. Don't come for me, y'all who knit. But let's see, where am I at? All right, so I'm on row 5 right now. The nice part about working in the round is I don't have to use the stitch markers, because I hate unclasping those things. They're very frustrating if you just want to hurry. All right. Now my hands are damp. So we were supposed to get rain rain was in the forecast for today and like the rest of the week, which would be great. I wish we had more rain, but we had rain yesterday. We had a lot of rain yesterday, and then we didn't have any rain today. So we ended up getting that humidity. And before we had some rain, before it started cooling off here in Texas, we had about over 60 days where we lived, it was over 100 degrees. I actually lost 5 of my chickens because of how hot the heat was. And I mean, every day I'd get back from the gym around noon. I'd turn on their mister and I'd bring them ice. And then in the evening, I'd bring them more ice. But I still lost, I'd lost a few. So 4 of the ones I lost were Cornish cross. They were meat chickens, which means they're not really built for extreme weather. They just won't make it. It's just how it is. Which is kind of sad, really, but well, they're gonna get eaten. So, and then the other one that I lost. Hi, Missy. You wanna? Okay, my cats are in here. Go on. Go on. Or not, whatever. The other one that I lost, though, was one of my egging chickens. It was Froggy. And she had just passed away in the nesting box, so I think she was trying real hard to pop out an egg, and it just got too hot, and she just plopped over. And recently, 2 weeks ago, I want to say, I lost one of my chickens, Lucy. Her actual name is Lucifer, but for short, so I don't offend my mother's sensibilities, I call her Lucy. And one day she decided she wanted to be broody. So she's sitting on a whole pile of eggs, sitting. And I'm like, you know what? You're broody. I can tell you're broody. You're always sitting up there. So I'm just going to let you hatch them out. We get plenty of eggs. Go for it. We'll see how you do as a mom. So she hatched them out. She hatched out a total of, 11. One of them passed away in the night. It got squished by 2 of the eggs when she sat on them again, which was really sad to see in the morning. Another one hatched out, but her umbilical wasn't fully healed, and one of the chicks had stepped on it, and the poor thing was bleeding pretty profusely. So I had to take care of her in that way, as you do out on a farm. And then another one didn't make it out of her shell. So there was those 3. So she ended up, okay, so she hatched out 12. 3 didn't make it. So she has 9, right? Well, one of them, the one who's very clearly a rooster. It's a barred rock rooster. Boy, he was about 9 weeks old. And I went out there and I saw him in his in the nesting box, and he was just looking like, it looked like, at first I thought he was dead, but then he was twitching, and I was like, oh. So I brought him inside. We got him to sort of wake up, and he drank, ate a little, but his shock was too much, the difference between the outside temperature and the inside temperature, and he didn't make it through the night. So lost a few birds from the heat. Now it's finally cooling off, but I think today it was around 89 degrees. So it's, a lot, like 13 degrees cooler than it had been. But it felt so hot, excuse me, because of all the humidity from the rain yesterday. I'm hoping it finally it either rains enough so that we can take the humidity out of the air for a little bit, like rains and gets cool. I don't know. As long as it gets cool. Or as long as it's not humid. I can deal with dry heat. Dry heat's easy. It's the wet heat I don't like. I'm not a sauna girl. Well, a wet sauna, I suppose. I've been in wet saunas, don't like them. All right, let's see. Where am I at? Okay, so this should be row 6. I'm going to have to count it real quick to make sure I'm not losing my mind. Okay. Pop that one in there. All right. Excuse me. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. So what does it say? Fasten off. So the main part of this is finished. I do not have a tool to fasten it off with, so I'm just gonna snap it. My scissors are somewhere. I don't know where. That's fine. And then I'm gonna just weave it in with a needle later. So the dress is complete. Haha. Or however the mouse says it. So, and this is actually really yellow. The camera doesn't show it very well. The lighting's terrible in here. But this is really, it's like a pale yellow. And then this is actually, well, actually this one looks kind of good, but it's like a light cream white. So the dress is done. The next stage that I have here is the underlayer. Begin with white. Okay, well, my white is in another castle, so I'm going to do the ruffle instead. The ruffle. So can't see it very well. But on this dress, I guess you can. Right here, you see there's this kind of ridge. That's because I worked in the front loop only. So when you crochet, there's 2 loops for each single crochet or double crochet or however you do it. You can't see it very well, but there's 1 loop, 1 loop, and then there's another loop by my thumb. So you can see it, and there's like a hole in the middle. So I worked it in the front loop, and it creates this little ridge. So it's telling me for the ruffle. Working on the front loops of row 2. I shouldn't say the rest of this because I bought the pattern and y'all didn't. 30 times. Okay. Slip stitch, fasten off. All right. The only thing I don't know, and I would say it would be nice, but it's not there, is if she showed a picture of the completed product from the front and the back. And I do not have those photos. So I think when I finish this and I send the picture of it and I give her some feedback on her pattern, which is still, it's a fantastic pattern, I'll tell her, like, it would be great if we saw the back part of it, because I want to make sure I'm not effing the whole thing up, But I do have that ridge all the way in the back, so I'm just going to start on it. So let's see. Begin with yellow. Okay, well, I'm gonna begin with yellow because that's the only color I have right now. Okay. Chain 2. I don't know. I don't know if I like this. I'll see. I don't know. I don't think it's not my pattern, so as long as it looks like how it's supposed to, then I'm happy. And that's the worst part when you're trying to replicate someone else's work because you're giving it to someone else because what someone else made. So person B wants what person A has made, but person A is only selling the pattern. So person B gets to person C, which is me, and it's like, hey, I love this. Can you make this for me? Yeah, I could follow the pattern, but a lot of the times when I follow a pattern, it doesn't look the way it's supposed to. There was one pattern. It's this cute little T-Rex pattern that I did, and it actually turned out exactly how it was supposed to. And man, I was so happy because they were Christmas gifts for a friend of mine. I made one for her, and then I made one for each of her kids. So they had a mommy dinosaur and the two kid dinosaurs. And I got them to tell me their favorite colors. So it turned out pretty nice, and it actually looked like it's supposed to, which I was quite shocked. This one I'm a little worried about because it has eye placement in a certain spot. It has sewing involved, aka the eyelashes, but the eyelashes actually turned out really good. I spent some time on them to try and make them look good. So hopefully it paid off. But then what the lady does later is she has like blush or some sort of paint on the cheeks. And I'm like, I can't even do makeup on myself. I don't know how I'm going to do it on a doll that I can't just wipe it off of. So I'm thinking about making like a swatch of the particular yarn that I'm going to be making that I've made the head out of and just try painting it on that way. And once I get the right pressure and look that I'm going for, then I'll do it on the actual one, but I want to make absolutely sure I know where I want to put it. So I'm probably going to have to take a picture of it. And then I'm probably going to have to put it in like one of those art programs like GIMP and just paint it on there so I kind of know roughly where it's going to look good. So look, there, I already have a solution. Woohoo. Made my own solution talking to myself while showing everybody how terrible I am at crocheting. And I got a cold. And see, look, and now I'm talking to myself, and I forgot to do 2 chains. There we go. Oh no, you guys can't tell what I'm doing. Okay. Prop my elbows up. Almost done. Just got like 4 more stitches to go. There's another YouTube video I made. I think it's private too, but it was how fast I can make a granny square because I was making a Roseanne inspired blanket for the same person who I'm making this for. So we'll see. Okay, so that turned out adorable. Look at that frilly. And since you guys don't have the pattern, you don't know, but this looks an awful lot like the dress. So I'm pleasantly surprised. I don't normally do clothes for dolls either. I normally do clothes for like humans. And even then it looks like okay. So that's another one I'm gonna have to work on. But all right, so we have the dress, we have the frill. I'm gonna have to do a headband. Begin with yellow, chain 25. What does this headband look like? Oh, that's cute. All right. So before I finish this, because I have to go get more yarn and stuff, we're gonna try on the dress that I just finished with the little, it's got a little poof. So okay, wait. The dress isn't actually finished. I have to do an underskirt here. So I could run and get that and finish it. But that's all right. So let's see how she looks with this. Put her legs in. I'm sorry, I'm bending your arms all out of proportion. Okay. Lightning show. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, you're so adorable. Yeah, I didn't even like dolls. I don't even like dolls. But I guess because I made it, it's kind of cute. So let's see how she looks. Ain't she precious? Her head's a little misshapen because I've been messing with her, so gotta. Well, it's not gonna worry too much because she's gonna have a really intricate like headpiece soon, and maybe I'll live stream that too. Me making the headpiece. It'll probably take a while, but yeah, there we go. There's the almost completed dress. So, yep. Alrighty.